10 years ago or so, when I was 25 or 26, I was working at a marketing agency in LA, making six figures, living this like lavish looking, like on paper lifestyle. The office was like a Madman Wolf of Wall Street blend. It was kind of like a frat party the entire time. It was a ton of fun. And it looked like I had made it, right? I was climbing the corporate ladder, traveling all over the country, seeing all these big name, big box clients, and I decided to throw it all away. I quit. Quitting was probably one of the craziest things that I had ever done, especially to people on the outside. Everyone thought I was dumb, and I was making the dumbest decision I'd ever make in my life. I was throwing away my college degree. I was throwing away my career. My parents and grandparents and everybody were so proud of me, and then they all of a sudden weren't so proud of me. I looked dumb. Like that's as much as I can really say. Like I don't know how else to be able to phrase it. It did not look like a wise decision, especially because I had just gotten married and we just had a newborn daughter, and it looked like I was being irresponsible at the least. But because I quit, I went through and learned some of the most important life and business lessons I would ever learn within the next 10 years and probably for the rest of my life. And so in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about that. I want to talk to you guys about what it looks like to be able to quit, what you should know before you quit, and then also some of the biggest lessons that I've ever learned building a brand new business. If we haven't met yet, how's it going? My name is Doug, and I am a homeschooling dad of 5. I have kids that are 9 and under. I live in Southern California, and I run and operate a YouTube-based business with my wife, Hayley. It's a 7-figure business that we've built over the past 6 to 7 years. And so on this channel, I basically want to be able to talk to you guys about how that works, how our business runs, and help you guys to be able to do the same exact thing. Because I'm hoping that some of you guys might be coming from my other channel, which I'll link up here and I'll link it down below, talking all about protection and firearms. But I'm also hoping that this video connects with the guys that want to be more present in their life, right? They want to be there for their kids. They want to be able to raise them. They want to be able to homeschool them. They want to be the best present dad that they can while still providing for them. So if you want to learn about how that works or the possibilities or things that you should or shouldn't do, be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're new, and also leave your comments down below for what connects, what hits, what doesn't, and what you guys might be looking for. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I have to tell a little bit of the story first, so stick with me here while I talk through the story of like who I was and what I was doing and all of the ups and downs and the lessons that I've learned, so that way you guys know that I'm not just like making this up and I'm not just typing this into ChatGPT or Claude or something and trying to come up with points. This is the actual life that I've lived. So let's go way, way back to when times were simpler. No, not like the MySpace times or anything like that. Those were really the simple times, right? Like Linkin Park and the Halo. But I'm not talking about that far back. I'm talking about like 10, 11, or 12 years. And so I had just graduated college and I got a job working at a marketing agency in LA. It wasn't technically LA. Technically, it was Manhattan Beach, but it was close enough. And so I started climbing the corporate ladder. I was making a bunch of money. I ended up making 6 figures by the time I was 25. And I'm not telling you that to flex or anything like that. It's nothing like that. I'm not trying to flex on anybody. It's just that, like, on paper, it looked like I was balling and living the dream, right? It looked like I was making way more money than any of my friends. I was just progressing so rapidly and quickly. I was throwing money everywhere. You know, it looked like we were living the life. It was really cool. I was a young guy with a good salary, a good career. My parents were proud. My grandparents were proud. Everyone's proud. Like, whatever. It was cool. It was something that was kind of unheard of for my family. Like, I know that there are way more successful people. I know $100,000 is not that much money now in today's age. And so I know that there are way more successful people with way more things. But with the small town mindset and like the small background of people that I knew, it was a kind of a big deal. But what we didn't see, or what they didn't see, is probably what you guys are experiencing too. If you're watching this video and you're thinking about quitting your job, or you're thinking about how you can progress, or you're thinking about starting something for yourself, you probably feel what I was feeling back then. You were like, what is the actual cost of me making this money? It's not just the long hours, because I'm sure you guys are working extremely long hours like I was, right? I was working constantly, not in like a hustle bro mentality culture type of working constantly. I was not pumped to get in there and grind. It was nothing like that. Grinding my soul away type of grinding. Answering emails at just ungodly type hours, right? I had no more hobbies. I had no more free time. Even though like you get the promise of like ultimate flexibility and unlimited time off, I go take a vacation with Hayley to New York, right? But I have to dedicate an entire day of one of those vacation days to dealing with client issues because the guy that I left in charge of my client's account couldn't handle it. I had to jump on calls while in New York trying to take a vacation with my wife. Those are the kinds of things that people don't see when it comes to working this type of career or trying to really make it as a provider. What made it worse was the fact that Hayley was pregnant and we were going to have a child. And that was what kind of changed everything. Those years between like 24 to 26 years old, when I was trying to hustle, I was trying to grind, I was trying to grow my career, that was when everything started to shift and change because no longer was it just like, oh, I don't really have time to do my hobbies or, oh, I have to take some calls while I'm on vacation or anything like that. It was, there's a child on the way. And now we need to figure out what is going to happen with this child because I don't feel like dumping my child off in a daycare. And my company was so young and new, not young in like company age, but like people at the company's age, that there wasn't even technically an official like paternity or maternity leave. They were like just building it just prior to my child being born because it just so happened to be that some C-suite level people were going to start having kids, so they had to build this thing out. Having a child is a serious thing. Like having a kid and raising a kid is not something that you want to mess around with. And so Hayley and I had a lot of really long talks about this because we both come from extremely hardworking families. But what that meant was that there was sacrifice. Okay. For myself, my dad worked 2 jobs. He was working at the state of California all the time. He was working, commutes, very long commutes, hour and a half one way to be able to commute. He was gone in the morning and then he was back when it was already dark, right? Not only did he do that, but he was also a part-time firefighter. There were certain days out of the week where he was also gone being a firefighter in the middle of the night just to be able to make ends meet and make things happen. So I saw what it looked like to sacrifice. He did his best and obviously got me into cars and racing and got us go-karts and did everything he could on the weekends, but throughout the week, like when he had that shirt and tie and those pants on, like it was work time. And so that was me on my side. I saw an extremely hardworking, like lifer at the state of California. Hayley, on the other hand, had a completely different situation. Hayley's mom was a nurse. And so her mom was constantly gone. She never really got to connect with her mom. I'm not going to like embellish things or put words out here on the internet that she doesn't say. Like she does talk about it. And I obviously wasn't there to be able to experience it, but I'm just going off of what she's talked to me about. So not only was her mom always gone as a nurse working all the time, her dad was also an entrepreneur. So Hayley was in daycare and at school and daycare for extremely long periods of time. She was saying that she's always the last kid to be picked up. And so both of us having these experiences combined, and I know, like there's way worse out there. Like there's kids in, other countries that don't have water. There's kids in war-torn countries that don't have parents. I get it. Okay, but I don't live there. Like we don't live there. You don't live there if you're watching this video. Okay, there's a good chance that anyone that gets to watch this video on YouTube, you're just as privileged as I am. All right, so get over it. Don't even go there. Now, Hayley and I are just sitting there realizing, hey, we're going to have this baby girl in like 8 or 9 months' time, right? What are we going to do? Like, what's the plan? Because Hayley already didn't like her job. She already felt the need to be entrepreneurial. She saw her dad be an entrepreneur. She wanted the freedom that her mom didn't have. And so she was like, hey, I want to do something different. And what I want to do is I think we should try to get me at home so I can raise our child. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool to me because my dad worked extremely hard. I had my mom at home. This fits with me. This fits with what I want to be able to do. I say, I will provide. I will work my ass off. I will make it happen. I will provide for us. I will figure all this out. 6 figures in LA actually really wasn't that much money. And so I was like, we'll make it happen. We'll make it do. We're also paying off student loans. We're trying to get all of our debt out of the way. We're trying to do all these things. And Hayley's like, I'm going to quit my job. Tons of stuff happening. But I'm all about it. Especially like looking back now. To us, that's 100% the right decision. God's given roles are I provide and protect, and then Hayley is the one that's nurturing and caring for the family. And so I was down, let's do it. And Hayley says, but, and I'm like, what? Like, what, but? She says, I have a plan. There are these people, and which is hilarious now. Like when you think about it, right? When you think about how far we've come on the internet in such a short period of time, this is hilarious. But Hayley was like, there are people on the internet that do this thing called blogging, and they do this stuff on YouTube. And basically, they just film their lives. And they get to go to like Fiji, and they get all this free stuff, and they get paid to talk about, all the stuff that I buy. Like, I think I could do this. And I come from an SEO algorithm type background. Like my job was literally to help other companies rank higher than other companies on Google. That was my actual job. And so I'm like, you know what? I kind of get that. I don't understand this whole like make money from brands thing, but go for it. I'm down. I see the people doing it. It looks like they're living cool lives. Like you can go figure that out. That's cute. I will work my job and I will work my thing and provide for the family while you raise our kids. And she's like, okay, cool. I was totally in the wrong here because what ended up happening was as Hayley worked for the next 2 years, so from the time she was pregnant for about 9 to 12 months, right, of that first year of Hayley being pregnant and then having our kid and then our daughter, Annabelle, turning 1, she went from just having this idea to having a full-blown influencer business before influencer businesses were even the thing. Okay, this is before influencer marketing was even like a career. There were no marketing agencies working specifically with influencers to push brand deals and promotions and affiliates and brand managers. Like none of this existed when Hayley started doing this and started making money. It was the literal Wild West of the internet back then. And so while I knew what was possible in terms of like the blogging world, right? Like I was able to help Hayley make her website, get her blog going, optimize it, research topics, do the same with YouTube, show her how to be able to like optimize stuff on YouTube with keywords and titles and descriptions and tags, because that was my wheelhouse. I really understood that. And I was like, here you go. You can grow it. I don't know how this thing monetizes. I don't really know how this works. 2 years later, she's making more money than I am. The craziest amount of money I could ever imagine as she's sitting there, like, you know, nursing Annabelle or playing with her and taking pictures with her. All this crazy stuff starts happening and our entire life literally flips upside down. And so you might think nowadays, oh, that's baller. You know, that's really cool. But like in the moment, it's kind of rough. It's kind of hard because like then I start to question what the heck I'm doing here. And I'm like, well, what do I do now? Because Hayley makes more money than I do, but she works way less hours. She doesn't have to travel. She can be with the kids. She and I talk about it, and she ultimately proposes. She's like, you're good with the marketing. Why don't you come work with me on this? We'll build this thing together, and we'll find something else for you to be able to do so you can build your own business, and we'll go from there. And to me, like, that's a huge risk, dude. Like, I don't know entrepreneurs. I've never read entrepreneur books. I don't know anything about them. Hayley has slowly been like groomed, for lack of a better word, in the entrepreneur lifestyle by her dad. Like she was hearing about Tony Robbins before she even knew what was going on with Tony Robbins, right? Before there were courses or coaching or memberships on the internet, her dad had actual audio tapes of courses of ways to be able to learn the true OG info products, right? And so Hayley was like, this is something that's possible. I think you can do it. Why don't we make this happen? And so I said, all right, we'll find something that I can leverage my skills with in terms of algorithms and optimizations to be able to make some type of money. And of course, there was the easy, quote unquote, easy route of me like going out and becoming like a side hustler, getting clients and having one-off things and helping people on the side to do their SEO or their websites, you know, set things up like that. There was like a no competition clause with my company, which like nobody listened to, but I was still an like extreme rule follower back then. But basically what we decided on was we were like, hey, why don't you do something totally different? There's this new up and coming thing called Amazon. Laughs, I know, laughs all around, but 10 years is a long time to change things, right? So Amazon comes around and people are saying, hey, the way you can make money is you buy stuff and you sell it on Amazon. It's this whole thing. You don't need to like house the products with you. You can order everything overseas. You can ship it directly to Amazon. Amazon takes care of everything. You just have to find the product and market it. It's called Amazon FBA, fulfilled by Amazon. And so I was like, this doesn't sound too bad. So what did we do? We bought a course, hint, hint, for stuff, you know, future, you know, foresight that's here. We bought a course, learned about it, got some coaching on it, and here we are. I created a product, figured out what I wanted to be able to sell. It was something that we could launch alongside Hayley's influencer brand, right? So what Hayley made content on originally was like beauty and fashion. And then she moved into motherhood when she had our oldest daughter. And that's when she really started to blow up because motherhood influencers were like few and far between back in the day. Again, jokes, I know. But I created this thing. This was our company. It was called Bell and Baby. I learned how to make a company. I learned how to do the LLC and get all the sales use tax accounts. I learned shipping and fulfillment and looking at overseas manufacturing. I've learned how to deal with manufacturers. I went through this whole thing, created this entire business and this brand, all to be able to do Amazon. You know, patent trademark office type stuff, even down to like the design itself. I designed this specific car seat cover. That's what we sold, were car seat covers. And so I was full in on it. And we took the leftover money we had after paying off our debt, after getting rid of all of our student loans. I took a huge portion of our money and I poured it into Amazon FBA. And it was like one of the biggest risks I had ever taken. Launching this alongside Hayley's growing influencer brand was one of the best ideas that we had. So we did it and it was awesome. And actually, it worked out really well. And it worked out so well that I quit my job. When this started going, that is when I decided to quit my job, because the plan was Doug is going to move into the physical product space and I was going to build stuff next to Hayley building her brand and kind of running both things behind the scenes at the same time. What we didn't know was that business is a lot more ruthless than that. And what we didn't know was that inventory, logistics, supplier relationships, margins, ads, competition on Amazon, the constant stress of the physical product being stuck in a canal somewhere. That was all stuff that I did not foresee. And that was stuff that ended up pushing me back to even being more stressed, because now we had personal money that was invested. It was our own business. And like, if I failed and this side of the business failed, and I had no idea what I was going to do. Other than that, long story short, what ended up happening with selling on Amazon was our supplier saw our pattern, my custom pattern that I made custom. I know it sounds dumb because they're just stars on here, right? I actually saw a picture of her on her, it was like WeChat. There's a picture of her showing other American manufacturers or brands that were at her factory holding up our pattern and showing it to them. All of a sudden, our pattern is being sold by other people, and all of a sudden, we don't have the money for ads and margins to be able to do this anymore, and so we effectively got pushed out. I could not adapt and adjust quickly enough. So Amazon, while it made us a ton of money, while it got me to be able to quit my job, ended up failing. Okay, and there's lessons behind that. I'm going to talk about those lessons eventually, all right? But what ended up happening was Hayley was still growing her YouTube channel, and she was still doing so well that now she's at the point where it's like she's being paid to be in Parents Magazine. Okay, people are flying out to take pictures of her, to take video of her. You know, we're going to all these different companies to have photographers check her out, and she's like getting her makeup done and being put in ads and stuff. Influencer marketing was really breaking out at that point. So all of a sudden, we were full-time influencers. Brand deals, sponsorships, affiliates, becoming like brand ambassadors for certain brands. And so that was the next big thing for us, was being able to eat top ramen on camera and get paid for it. That was amazing. I was constantly getting new shoes, new clothing. We had new furniture. Everything in our house was given to us for free, and we were actually paid to show it in our house. We had our oldest daughter, then we had another daughter, and then we had a son. And during the lives of those three kids, as we were growing our business, things just started blowing up and getting crazy with the amount of money that we were making. I'm talking 20, 30K months off of brand deals and sponsors and AdSense. And so it was wild, right? We were like, why did we ever do a physical product? Like, when you could just make money talking about random stuff on the internet. And you guys can go back and actually see on Hayley's original channel of how awkward and terrible I was on YouTube. Not that I'm any better or anything, but vlogging was just not my thing. I was not a huge vlogger. And so it's what Hayley talked about. It's what Hayley did. It's what she liked. It's why people liked us. It's why people bought the baby car seat cover. It was because they liked Hayley and her brand. And so that's what we got paid for. Now, here's the thing. A couple years into that, so I'm thinking, so this is like 4-ish years after quitting. Okay, we are full-time influencers. The internet is flipped over on its head for a couple things. One, COVID happens. Okay, and so when COVID happened, brands shut down, businesses shut down, places shut down, manufacturing shut down in China. All these things happened. And so what happened was that brands were not spending money anymore on influencers. They thought it was almost like kind of end of the world type stuff. So all the money we made in brand deals and sponsorships and ads were just gone. So like 95% of our income, right? Now we had other income from other things. We had like our affiliates, or we had AdSense coming in from YouTube. But then other things were happening around the same time. So around that same time, there's this whole wave of anyone who was showing kids on YouTube had their comments turned off. We never really looked into it as much, but there's a lot of bad things happening in the comments of videos with kids in them. So YouTube, under pressure, turned off everyone's comments. When they turned off everyone's comments, it decreased our engagement a ton. which meant less ads and brand deals. Okay. So there was 96 or 97% of our income gone. And so we were freaking out, dude. Okay. Freaking out because all of our entire business was built on the fact that someone else was going to pay us money for the products that we were promoting. I didn't go back into Amazon FBA. I did not want to deal with that again. And so what ended up happening was we had to find, again, another way to make money. And so we had to think about what we were going to do. Like, I didn't want to go back and get a job, and Hayley doesn't want to go back and get a job. We thought maybe YouTube might turn around, and some of the brands started coming back after COVID, and BLM was a thing too, where it's like all the brands shut down. Everyone's being quiet because they were afraid to say the wrong thing and didn't want to cross anybody up and look bad on the internet. One wrong hashtag and you're just getting canceled. And it was a crazy time. But what ended up happening was Hayley, the never lifting entrepreneur that she is, was like, we will find a new type of business to do. We just have to think back on what we have experience in. And so I was like, hey, we took a course on Amazon, and I actually made videos on Amazon too. I took a course on how to do Amazon. What if we can do a course on something else? And Hayley said, well, why don't we do a course on how to do YouTube? That's our experience. That's our expertise. That's what we live. That's what we have a lot of proof in, is being YouTubers. So that was our first move into digital products, was selling a course. Before that, we started doing little things like templates on Etsy or wall art on Etsy and things that were like around our house. We would take pictures of those things and then sell them for like $1. But then we moved into courses. And so teaching people how to be able to grow on YouTube became our course. Everybody loved it. They really wanted to learn how to do it because it was still up and coming. Like, being a YouTuber was just skyrocketing. And so we capitalized on that, selling an online course with the YouTube channel that Hayley had built, and adding another one to be more strategy wise, to be more strategic about, talking about YouTube growth. Those things all together were able to not just replace our brand deals and sponsorship income, but double it. We were consistently doing 30 to 40 to 50K months selling our online course. And, the first launch we did with that was like a 40K launch within 7 days, which was absolutely crazy to us. We've never seen that kind of money before. It was absolutely insane. And so what this looked like was Hayley being the marketing and Doug being the everything else. And so I was still behind the scenes working with her, being able to create this product, figuring out how it all works, doing all the tech, figuring out the pricing, getting it all set up, telling her what to say for the marketing, although she really knows what she's saying when it comes to the building of the trust. I'm the person that says, this is the pricing, this is how long we're launching it for. And so running this type of digital product and this info product created a new category of income stream for us. At the same time, we had friends that were influencers that said, hey, how did you learn how to do this? We were hit drastically by brands and sponsors not paying us anymore. We want to create products of our own. How did you do this? And so what that ended up doing was that built our next program, which is teaching people how to do all of this, which then became coaching, which then became one-on-one consulting, which then started a whole nother aspect of our business. And so it was at this point where we started hitting not just 40K months, but 50, 60, even 100K months, teaching other influencers and normal people, like quote unquote normal people, beginners, people from zero audience or, the zero idea of what they're doing, how to build these types of businesses, these info product businesses. And so what working with the influencers did was it allowed us to be able to work with both types of people, right? We have a product and program for beginners, quote unquote beginners, which I hate talking about it like that. But we also were able to work with seasoned creators. And this is what created our info-based business. Okay. It's an informational-based business where we are basically selling the experiences and the knowledge that we've built because of the stuff that we've been through. Okay. We've been through the 9-to-5 and quitting that. We went through physical products. We did a lot of digital products. We did the full-time influencing. We worked together as husband and wife. There's a lot that we did that a lot of people wanted to learn about. And that is what allowed us to basically build the business that we have today. And so what we learned through this are basically the next 4 or 5 things that I want to talk about. Because now Hayley and I have a 7-figure business because of this. Hayley only has to work like 1 day a week max on this. And I'm able to build a completely separate random YouTube channel about shooting guns. And I have the time to be able to do that, but I'm still with my kids. I'm still raising them. We're homeschooling them, raising them in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. It is probably the best life that I think anybody could ever have. I am a little, biased, obviously, but everything that I've learned has led up to this. And so now I want to talk to you guys about what these lessons are. Because I feel like if I knew these things back then, 10 or 11 years ago when I quit, I would have seen success way more rapidly. And it would have been just such a better experience for my life not having to go through all that stuff. Stuff is putting it lightly. So, this is the stuff that I wish I could go back and tell myself that I'm telling you now. So, the first thing is that making money isn't the same as building something. And so by building something, I mean like building a movement, building a business, or building a lifestyle. I've personally found that out with the Amazon business. With Amazon, revenue was coming in. And, we were selling products. By every normal definition, it was working. But the business itself still wasn't right. Okay? This is because I didn't ask the right questions before we had built this. And I wouldn't know these questions. Like hindsight's 2020. Like you don't know what you don't know. But the question wasn't supposed to be, what kind of money can I make with this? The question was realistically supposed to be, does this business type fit the values and goals and direction that I want my business to be able to go in? Does it fit the actual life that we're trying to build? Because those are two completely different questions. And most people, honestly, never ask that second question, does this fit the lifestyle that I want? Now, maybe a lot of you guys are asking that now, which I hope you are, because knowing what kind of lifestyle you want is going to absolutely impact that business that you make. And that's basically leads me into my second point, which is that the income source that you are building is going to determine what type of freedom that you have more than just like how much money you make. We made amazing money on brand deals. I've never been paid more in my life than to do something dumb like eat top ramen on camera with my kids and my wife. Okay, we made extremely good money. Hayley was paid so much money to be in Parents Magazine. It was wild. And I didn't have to do anything. I got to sit back and watch it all happen, right? Like I had to play with the kids or like be there in the background and help promote the fact that she was in Parents Magazine, but that was it, right? The problem though was that money was always at the mercy of someone else's budget, someone else's strategy, someone else's performance. So what that meant was that we had to bend over for whatever the brand or company wanted, right? Like if we were cooking something for HelloFresh and we chopped the onions wrong, we got to go back and chop those onions again. We didn't boil the pasta for a long enough amount of time to be al dente or whatever. So we had to go back to the store, buy it again a week later, put on the same clothes that we had, film it again, and naturally integrate it into the vlog that we had filmed like a week or two prior. That money that we were making from that was not worth the lack of freedom that we had in the life that we were trying to live. Like I can constantly remember Hayley saying things like, what are we going to do this weekend? Because I need something exciting to happen to get more views. Like that insane way of thinking, right? But that's just how it was. You had to find a way to get more views, to get more budget from the brands, to make more money so that way you can feed your family. You sold your soul. Like at the end of the day, you were selling your soul for money and being famous on the internet, which is a very hard thing to internalize and think about looking back on it. Crazy time period of my life. So the third thing that I want you guys to walk away from this is that just because YouTube and being an influencer created this lack of freedom for us doesn't mean that you shouldn't use YouTube and be an influencer. Now stick with me here. I know that sounds dumb and confusing. YouTube is actually an underrated business asset. YouTube is not a place to build your business. YouTube is a place to market your business. You should go viral, but not in a viral way to get famous. You should go viral to find as many clients and leads as you can. YouTube should be seen as a business tool. Everything that we built, okay, whether it was the Amazon FBA business, it was the coaching business, it was selling courses, it was selling our digital products on Etsy, it was having different clients, the brand deals, the sponsorships, everything came because the audience that Hayley and I were able to build on YouTube. It was the foundation for everything that was there. The people that we worked with that had millions of subscribers, they were stuck because they didn't know how to build the business on top of YouTube. They were using YouTube as the main business and not building a business that leveraged it. There's a difference there. There's a nuance there, okay? So I want you guys to understand that you should still build an audience, be on YouTube. You should still find those followers 100%. But the end destination should not be your YouTube channel. The end destination should be something beyond that for the people who are watching your content, okay? Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, which is probably the most important thing, you don't need to choose between being a provider and being present. Okay, you don't need to choose between those two things. You can absolutely have them both. This is probably the biggest lie that I was told for basically my entire life, right? Having money for your family and having a successful career and being revered at the gates, right? The sacrifice for that is being a good dad, being present, being home, being there mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally for your family. That was what I was told, at least. I know that that's not true. I know you can be as good and as present and as available as you can, even if you work extremely long hours. I'm not saying that anyone who works extremely long hours is a bad dad by any means. I'm just saying that most people believe that if you want to build something that's really good and really powerful and generates a lot of money, you have to sacrifice the family. And it's just not true, right? Hayley is the proof on one side. She built a real business. She's home every day with her kids. She's still making money. I was able to do the same thing over time and being able to learn and provide as a dad within my God-given role by providing for these businesses, but then also still being able to build something of my own. I'm building this other gun channel that you guys may be coming from or not as like a side or a second set of proof, right? To be able to build something from scratch in a crazy niche. Being a homeschool dad of 5, I want to show you that you can still do other things. You can still make other things happen. But just to kind of recap all this off, it's possible to be able to make this happen and still be there with your kids. And so if you guys are thinking about that, if you're thinking like, I know there's more to life than just going to work and coming home, going to sleep, waking up and going back to work. I know there's more to life than just shipping my kids off to school and never seeing them, right? I know that I'm losing a vast majority of my time with them to daycare, school, and me going to my job. And then I also maybe potentially don't even want my wife to have to work. Dual incomes are such a thing nowadays. But the thing is you can absolutely make it happen online. Now, the thing is that a lot of people think you have to do it by being an influencer, but you do not have to be an influencer to make this happen, okay? And you also do not have to be scammy or slimy or salesy or cheesy or some type of make money online bro that has the Lambo and the private jet behind him. You don't have to do those things. You can still maintain your values and your faith while making money online. It's 100% possible. So with that being said, if you guys have thoughts or questions or comments on my story and this rambly video that I have here, let me know down in the comments below. Ask the questions. I'm open to talk about anything and everything, but I want you guys to understand something. When you see people making money online, if your initial feeling is to be like, nah, that's not real, like it's all fake, the guy's a scammer or whatever, you are potentially cutting yourself off from a life of actual freedom. Because I was that same guy. I didn't really want to believe that people made money on blogs and got to go to Fiji and do all these fun things. That attacked my style of life, which was working the 9 to 5. So if you're like I was back then, and you're thinking the 9 to 5 is the only way to be able to make it because the opportunity is already gone, the niche is already impacted, I don't have anything cool, I don't have any good ideas, I'm no different, there's already better people out there doing it, just give yourself a shot, okay? Comment down below what your concerns are, what your thoughts are. If you really want to get into it and really want to talk about it, you can actually book a call to be able to talk to me, to be able to talk to our team about how all of this works. I have another training that you can check out for free. So think about it, sit on it. At the very least, give yourself a chance and reach out and we can talk about it because honestly, there is so much more opportunity that's out there and I would hate to see you guys not capitalize on it. Okay, that's what this whole channel is going to be about from now on. Is helping you guys figure out something so that way you can make money, provide for your family, protect them, but still be present and be there. All right. So with that being said, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one.